I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's News Update. An IDF soldier was punched by a Palestinian Authority police officer after IDF forces reportedly attempted to make an arrest. According to initial reports, the incident took place in Hebron while the IDF force was on a routine patrol there. When the soldiers tried to arrest a man connected to the Palestinian police, an argument broke out and one of the Palestinian officers punched the IDF officer in the face. At first, dozens and soon hundreds of Palestinians in the area began throwing rocks at the soldiers. The IDF fired warning shots in the air and used stun grenades and tried to disperse the crowd with riot control equipment. There are conflicting reports on whether the IDF ultimately were forced to retreat or whether they were able to disperse the crowd. The IDF soldier who was punched did not require medical attention. The Palestinian news agency Ma'an reported that several Palestinians were injured during the incident. Army sources say the fact that Palestinian police confronted an IDF force is a worrying development, and an IDF spokeswoman said that the involvement of Palestinian officers is seen with great severity and that the event is being investigated. A real soap opera has played out in the aftermath of the UN vote last week that granted Palestinian non-member observer state status at the UN. It involves Congregation B'nai Jeshurun, a synagogue that is not affiliated with any movement and is one of the most creative and popular synagogues in Manhattan. The three rabbis and cantor of B'nai Jeshurun, together with its executive director and board of directors, sent out a letter to its membership celebrating the UN vote, calling it, quote, a great moment for us as citizens of the world, unquote. The letter also compared it to the UN's passage of the Partition Plan in 1947, which validated a Jewish state as part of the Partition Plan. The New York Times cited the B'nai Jeshurun letter as a dramatic example of American Jewish public opinion flying in the face of formal organizational opposition to the vote. And in Thursday's New York Times, letters were printed that expressed Jewish opinion supporting and opposing the B'nai Jeshurun position. Well, it seems that pressure was brought to bear upon B'nai Jeshurun, most likely from within the synagogue membership. And the rabbis of B'nai Jeshurun have appeared to have done a 180. According to the JTA, the rabbis at B'nai Jeshurun are now expressing, quote, regret, unquote, over the tone of the letter, and are saying the letter had been sent prematurely and was only from them, and that the listing of the synagogue's cantor, board president, executive director, and director of Israel engagement was a mistake. The three rabbis, Rolando Madelon, Marcello Bronstein, and Felicia Sol, wrote in their follow-up email that they are passionate supporters of Israel and wrote, while we affirm the essence of our message, we feel that it is important to share with you that through a series of unfortunate internal errors, an incomplete and unedited draft of the letter was sent out, which resulted in a tone which did not reflect the complexities and uncertainties of this moment. By the way, we want you to know that when the letter first appeared, Shalom TV President Mark Gullub invited any of those involved with B'nai Jeshurun to appear on Shalom TV to further explain their position. However, no one at B'nai Jeshurun was willing to speak on the record. On this Sunday's Shalom TV Roundtable at noon, the B'nai Jeshurun letter will be a major part of the discussion. Cuba is accusing the U.S. of lying about the health of jailed American Jewish contractor Alan Gross. Director of U.S. Affairs for the Cuban Foreign Ministry, Josefina Vidal, said assertions by the U.S. State Department that Gross's health was deteriorating and that he may have cancer were lies, saying Cuba has provided Gross with world-class doctors since day one and that he does not have any illness that is life-threatening. Gross's attorney and family continue to insist that Gross be examined by a doctor of their choosing in order to properly assess his medical condition. Vidal also slammed a decision handed down by the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention on Tuesday, which said that Gross's detention was indeed arbitrary and was a violation of his human rights. Vidal said his detention can in no way be classified as such. She said that the U.S. government is, quote, directly responsible for the situation that led to the detention and judgment and trial of Mr. Alan Gross, unquote. This past Tuesday was the third anniversary of Gross's arrest. He is serving a 15-year sentence for allegedly bringing satellite phones and internet service to Cuba's Jewish community. And finally, today marks the 25th anniversary of Freedom Sunday, a rally for freedom for Soviet Jewry. On December the 6th, 1987, over 250,000 people from all 50 states demonstrated in Washington, D.C., demanding that Soviet Jews be permitted to emigrate to Israel and to the West. For decades, Soviet Jews known as refuseniks had been denied permission to leave for the U.S., Israel, or anywhere else. The rally took place on the eve of Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev's first visit to Washington to meet with President Ronald Reagan. Reagan used the rally to urge Gorbachev to ease travel restrictions for Soviet Jews, and soon after, Soviet Jews were able to leave the Soviet Union, with 1 million immigrating to Israel and 500,000 moving to the U.S. Longtime Jewish activists Michael Granoff and Daniel Eisenstadt formed a coalition called Freedom 25 to raise awareness of this momentous occasion. We hope you saw them discussing this on Shalom TV, and we urge you to visit the website freedom25.net and participate in the virtual march. We are also showing an interview this week with Soviet refusenik Yosef Mendelevich. It can be seen on our homepage, shalomtv.com. And that's Shalom TV's News Update. I'm Teisha Bader.